Today's session will conclude our training series on conflict resolution and de-escalation. I wanted to touch on a few different points, primarily three, and take a closer look at where we go from here. The first one would be tools. The second one would be why we do not engage when we should. And the third would be why we need to engage. On the first one, the tools, you've seen a series of videos. Hopefully you've gained something from that. Some tools that you can use going forward. Maybe some of it seemed a little hokey. Maybe some of it seemed like common sense, but undoubtedly throughout all those videos, I'm sure everybody picked up a little something here or there that they could use. And that's the goal of this video series, is to help you be better and equipped for when you need to engage with employees. I know there's a lot of talk or training within the videos that might not have been exactly relevant to our field, but most of the same skills and tools can be used in our day-to-day operations. When we talked about those tools, everything from keeping conflict in the kitchen, which you just saw this past week, right back to the very beginning and understanding the different sides of the brain and how people react based on those. Those are all things I encourage everyone to review again. Maybe some of it you didn't get a lot out of, but I'm sure there's some things you can. The second part, why we don't engage when we probably should. There's a lot of different reasons you could say. I hate to call it fear, but I haven't come up with a better word for it. And when I say fear, maybe it's discomfort rather than fear. But Myra talked about the whole fight or flight and gave you some of the examples of what it does physiologically to your body. Knowing that going in, having experienced that, the details of it, really goes back to your caveman brain. And I know people say that it sounds kind of goofy, but you are hardwired for survival. Over time we've evolved, and conflicts and the fight or flight can kick in not just because of physical danger, but because of emotional concerns, what you perceive as an emotional danger and that discomfort. The reality is when that whole fight or flight happens, people think, well, it does this or that to my body. What it really is it's the brain releasing hormones in your body. Those hormones go to your sympathetic nervous system. That in turn impacts your adrenal glands, which produces adrenaline. That's why all those things happen to your body. Your body's pumped up on adrenaline to protect you. And when that happens, it's not comfortable. So when you do have a conflict, or you know you could be walking into a conflict, people can tend to run or flee, if you want to call it that, fight or flight. If you think back to cavemen, you probably always chose flight and ran. If you're chasing dinosaurs or fighting dinosaurs and tigers, I'd be running too. In our case, you can't run. I know I've said that before, but we're asking you to engage, and the reason we're asking you to engage is to change behaviors. You can't get there any other way. If you don't correct improper behaviors and hold people accountable for them, we're not going to get the needed changes. So that leads me right into the why, and why do we need you to engage? In all my training that I've ever done on conflict, it's really been focused on two areas, safety and productivity. And I still think those are the most important because they drive our financial performance. Safety, obviously, first and foremost, we have a moral obligation to protect our employees and to protect the general public. So yes, that comes first, but it would be foolish to not realize how much money we spend on workers' compensation. How do we change that? It's by engaging with employees. When you're out doing observations or you're walking by people, you can't ignore the little things. You gotta go and you gotta coach the people on it, understanding that you're gonna potentially have some conflict. Not all the time, maybe half the time. The more you do it, the less your body will react in that same physiological, discomfortable way, but you have to do it. On the productivity side, it's really about setting expectations and holding people accountable for those, but it's having the conversations on the front end. We talk about lead measures and lag measures. Well, those lag measures are all after the fact. What our safety number is, how our revenue per driver is, all those things are just after the fact numbers. What they're impacted by are the lead measures, and those lead measures Are you going out and engaging with the employees to change their behaviors? If you think about it that way, that's what management is. And knowing there's going to be that discomfort there, you got to get past that. There's also the whole fact that people in general have a desire to be liked, and that can come into play too, but it's not a popularity contest.